Gotcha games. One of the most disliked game genres out there, and for good reasons. With their focus on microtransactions, people just assume they're just games where you gamble. Negative stigmas like these can really drive a huge population of gamers away from a game, even in other genres. When Persona 5X was first announced, I was very on the fence about this game. As a huge Persona fan myself, seeing that Atlus was getting involved in these gacha games was really concerning. As development of the game progressed, I began to grow this negative stigma towards the game. I had thoughts like, wow, Atlus is really selling out with a gacha game, and wow, I guess I have to gamble $100 for just one navigator. But when the game was released in Korea during April of 2024, I decided to give the game a fair shot, and I was not disappointed. Persona 5X was a genuinely good Persona game, from the battle mechanics to the art style and even the lovable cast. Persona 5X really had it all, so with the upcoming Tokyo Game Show showcase, I decided to make this video to help people avoid the mistakes I made when making assumptions of this game. In this video, I'm going to go over many changes that were made to the Persona formula in this game. These changes really give this game life, so I hope I can convince you to give this game a chance whenever you can. Persona 5X is a game I am very passionate about, and it's a game I genuinely believe in. Persona 5X is a game made with passion and love. I hope I'll be able to teach you at least something from this video, so I hope you enjoy the video. Development team. Persona 5X is one of the few Persona games that was not produced by P Studios. Instead, it was produced by a Black Wings Game Studios, a video game studio from China. But don't worry, P Studios is still supervising the development of this game, so it's still going to be a lovable Persona game. But Black Wings Studios made some changes to this Persona formula, which I'll go over right now. Character changes. The way that party members function has been reworked in Persona 5X. Instead of having a huge move pool, characters are limited to 3 pre-selected moves per character. To make up for the lack of moves, each character is given their own unique abilities. These abilities can range from extra turns with Joker, counterattacks with Fox, special modes which increase their damage with Makoto and Summer Closer, strong follow-up attacks with Yui, many more that I can't even name. Each character also gets their own unique highlight, which I'll get into more later, and 2 passive abilities. These passive abilities work similar to passives in other Persona games, and they really make these characters seem powerful and unique. For example, one of Joker's passive abilities increases the damage he deals while he's in an extra turn by 40%. This passive really makes Joker's extra turn extra useful. All of these moves are referred to as a kit. Each character's kit is unique to them, and it really gives them a sense of identity. Some kits are better than others, but most of characters have very good and usable kits. These kits also give a character their role in a team comp. Some characters are AoE DPSers or single target DPSers, others are debuffers, some are support characters, some are navigators, and some are healers. Characters' kits can even synergize very well with each other. An example of this would be Joker and Rin. Rin is a very fast debuffer who uses curse element moves. She can decrease the defense of all enemies very easily. This pairs up perfectly with Joker's kit, which allows him to deal huge damage to debuffed enemies with his strong spread moves. This will eventually lead to Joker getting an extra turn and decimating his enemies. Getting characters. You may be thinking, wow, these characters sound so cool, how do I get them? Well, this is where the gacha element of the game comes into play. To get most characters, you need to pull them through the gacha. There are two different banners, the standard banner and the premium banner. You can use specific banner currency to pull, or you can use gems to pull. The standard banner never changes. Standard pulls are given a lot throughout the palaces and other special events, so it's not really worth spending gems on them. But you can pull 5 stars from this standard banner. There are very good characters in this banner, like Minami and Phoebe. It's also important to mention that each multi-summon guarantees you a 4-star character, so it's more worth it to save up for a multi-summon instead of doing individual summons, so you can get awareness shards and cognitive summons to buy more pulls. But the premium banner is where all of the good stuff is. This banner changes every 2 weeks with an exclusive 5-star. Examples of these would be Joker, Makoto, Korg, and Bowie. But the premium banner has a 50-50 gimmick. Basically, if you pull a 5-star from this banner, there's a 50% chance that you'll get the special Phantom Thief, but there's a 50% chance that you'll pull a random standard banner Phantom Thief. If you pull the standard banner Phantom Thief, it's not all bad news. This guarantees that your next 5-star will be the special character. This system is actually going to be reworked into removing the 50-50 gimmick, so it's not going to last for much longer. Every once in a while, a standard banner Phantom Thief is put onto the premium banner for 2 weeks. Unless you really want or need this character, I would highly advise to not pull for them. Sometimes, there are even characters that get debuted on the premium banner for the first 2 weeks, and then they're put onto the standard banner. If a situation happens like this, I would highly recommend to just wait until the character comes onto the standard banner. If you wait for them, you honestly might just get them for free through your standard pulls, instead of spending gems on the premium banner. Both of the character banners cost 10 of their summon currency for a multi-summon. An entire multi-summon is equal to about 1500 gems, so each summon is equal to 150 gems. This is why it's not really worth it to spend gems on the standard banner. You can use those 1500 gems to pull for a special limited time 5-star instead of pulling for 5-star that's always going to be available. Even if you lose your 50-50, you're still going to get a standard banner 5-star anyway, so it's not really worth it. There's also a separate banner specifically for weapons. This banner gives you the chance to get 4-star and 5-star weapons. Every 2 weeks when a premium banner character is added, their 5-star is also added to the weapon banner for a limited time. This is why I would recommend only pulling on the weapon banner if you're pulling for a premium 5-star character. If you're pulling on the weapon banner while there's a character that you're skipping, you may end up with their weapon instead of the other weapon that you wanted. You'll end up with a 5-star you might never use and not the weapon you were going for. It's better to be patient and pull when you have at least 2 weapons that you want, the premium weapon and some other standard weapon. I'll get more into what these weapons do later, so don't worry. Dupes. Pulling on the gacha is scary enough because you may not get what you want. But what happens if you get something that you already have? If you pull a character that you already own, you will be given an awareness shard. You're also given a currency that you can use to buy more pulls. These awareness shards can be used to upgrade your duplicated character. When a character is upgraded, their attack, HP, and defense will be upgraded. They will also gain exclusive abilities and upgraded skills. It's pretty easy to fully dupe out a 4-star, but it's quite hard to dupe out a 5-star. You can only upgrade a character 6 times until you can't upgrade them anymore, which is A6. A6 usually gives an insane upgrade to a character. It's easy to do this for 4 stars, but not with 5 stars. A6 5 stars can be very good, especially with the premium ones, but it's very expensive. It's up to you if you want to spend for these fully upgraded 5 stars, but don't worry, because most 5 stars are really good with no dupes or A0. The only 5-star that really needs 1 dupe is Marion. With Marion's A1, so 1 dupe, she can give a 20% penetrate buff to the teammates who get overhealed. Penetrate is a new stat in Persona 5X and it's basically defense ignore. This means characters will ignore 20% of an enemy's defense, which leads them to shred way bulkier enemies. But with A0 Marion, she is still the best healer in the game. I only say this dupe is needed because it can really help the damage output of your team, but it's fine since most standard 5 stars will be duped out the more you play. Weapon reworks. Weapons are usually a pretty big part of Persona combat. They give a party member a very strong physical option, and some extra buffs. In Persona 5X, these weapons sort of work the same, but the buffs that they give are way more significant. These weapons also come in different ratings: 2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, and 5 stars. People usually don't use the 3 and 2 stars because they are pretty useless, but the 4 and 5 stars make a huge difference. These weapons focus more on their buffs instead of being hard-hitting weapons. Let's take Joker as an example. His 4-star weapon, Machete, increases his attack by 12% and buffs his attack against debuffed enemies by 19.1%. This weapon can really increase the damage he does by a lot. But let's also take a look at his 5-star. His 5-star weapon, Phoenix, is not only gorgeous, but it also increases his attack by 30%. It increases his damage by 10% every time he gets a stack of his Fury, which can stack 3 times, and the damage he deals when he has all 3 stacks of his Fury is increased by 23%. All of these damage buffs stack perfectly with his passives, which ends up making Joker do a ton of damage to all of his enemies. But these weapons are pulled through a gacha system, so it's important to decide whether or not you want to spend your currency on the broken 5 stars or the pretty good 4 stars. Some characters pretty much need their 5 stars. My mind goes to Bowie, Minami, and Puppet, but you don't always need to go for them. The 4 stars can do some pretty good work. I would honestly recommend trying to pull the 5 stars for most premium banner characters that you pull, or just the characters that you like. At the end of the day, it's all your decision on how you spend your currency. Revelation cards. This is a brand new feature that Perfect World Games added to Persona 5X. Revelation cards are basically equipable upgrades that can enhance your character's performance. This is where most characters get most of their power from. There are different revelation cards that upgrade different things. There's one to upgrade curse damage, there's one to upgrade bless damage, there's one to upgrade ice damage, nuke damage. There's even some that can boost the amount a character heals. You usually want to use 4 cards from the same set so you can get extra bonus effects. Each revelation card has a different main stat. These stats can be attack, HP, defense, crit rate, etc. Each card also comes with sub-stats. These are smaller stats that can vary from card to card. All of these stats added up can really make a character stronger. There are also different versions of revelation cards: Sun, Moon, Star, and Planet. These all just take up different slots, and they're all pretty much the same, except for the Sun. The Sun card is always going to be HP. So to show off how these cards work, let me use Joker as an example. I'm going to go more in depth with these cards, and I'll show you how they look. As you can see here, this is what a card is going to look like. You can see the main stat right here, the level right here, and the substats right here. This is honestly what's really important. You want the substats to be something that are actually going to help. As you can see, I have crit damage here and damage bonus here. I'm also running a bit of speed on my Joker. This should be attack percentage, but I am still grinding my cards. Either way, this is really what matters. You want to make sure that your character has stats that are actually going to help him. If I have a Joker who is just running a bunch of healing bonus, that's not really going to help me in my fights. As you can see over here with my Moon card, you can see that it's running damage bonus. Please ignore these stats because they're not good. But this damage bonus is what's really going to help my Joker do more damage. As you can see over here, he has a bit of crit rate. This crit rate is going to let him hit so many crits in fights. So this is perfect for what he needs to do. Over here, I have a bit of attack on him, just to maybe just buff how much damage he does to people. You can also see these stats right here. These stats are pretty good. Crit rate and damage bonus are totally going to help him out. Speed is pretty useful too. This is not supposed to be here. But I'm just showing you this so that you can see how these cards would look and how someone would think about making a build. In my eyes, when I made my Joker, I wanted him to do as much damage as possible. But I also wanted him to be a little fast so that he can act right before Rin, but not too much after Rin. Arcana cards. Arcana cards are variants of Revelation cards. They come with two main stats, which are always attack and defense. They can also have up to 4 substats. But these cards are special because if they're paired with certain Revelation cards, they can give your character a special buff. Let me use Joker as an example. Now, I hopped back in game to show you this because it's just a better way to learn. But here, my Joker is running the Enlightenment card. As you can see, the Enlightenment card comes with these 2 stats and substats, which are pretty good. You can also see down here that this is where the Enlightenment card's buffs are shown. You can see here Enlightenment and Interference, Enlightenment and Sovereignty, Enlightenment and Truth. These are basically just the game telling you what combinations you can do, but the one I'm going to be focusing on is Enlightenment and Interference. As you can see, Interference is the card that Joker is currently running, and here it shows us what we get for running Enlightenment with Interference. As you can see, whenever you deal damage to a debuff enemy, your damage is increased by 9%, which can stack up to 3 times, which is 27%. If you stack the damage buff you get from the Interference set and the damage buff you get from Enlightenment, and you add them together, Joker's damage to debuffed enemies is increased by 47%. This is why it's very important to make sure that your combos actually make sense. If I ran some random combo that had no synergy at all, or created a buff that made no sense to use on Joker, I could be missing out on 47% extra damage to debuff enemies. This is why it is so important to make sure that your combos actually make sense, so you can unlock the true potential of your characters. Card rarities. There are actually different rarities of Revelation cards and Arcana cards. There are 4: Gray, Blue, Purple, and Gold. The main difference between these rarities is their max level. With a Gray card, you can only level it up to level 10. Each rarity improves the level cap by 5. So it starts at 10, then it goes to 15, then 20, and then 25. A higher level cap will not only improve your main stats more, but it could also lead to a higher chance of getting an upgraded substat. I would recommend only spending your materials on leveling up Gold, Arcana, and Revelation cards. It's not really worth spending your precious materials on cards that have such a low level cap. But if you're stuck in the early game, it honestly might be worth it to spend some of your materials on the lower cards. Navigator reworks. This is my personal favorite rework in Persona 5X, and in my opinion, it's the most revolutionary one too. In most Persona games, the navigators require very little player input. They act like an AI that just randomly throws out buffs and debuffs during fight. In Persona 3 Reload, the player is able to use Fuka to scan enemies and use her Oracle Theurgy, but that's about it. In Persona 5X, the navigators are reworked to be actual party members. They come with their own movesets that you can use just like every other party member. They come with their own passives, their own weapons, and their own gimmicks. Instead of using SP, these navigators rely on their preparation time to use their moves. At the start of a battle, it takes 4 actions for the navigator to become available. Then, you are able to choose what moves the navigator will use. Moves can have a variety of preparation time costs. It depends on how much the skill does. A smaller skill may cost 4 actions, while a bigger skill might cost 12 actions. It all depends on what you need from your navigator at the moment, but this gives navigators so much life. They now feel like another party member instead of just some random AI. These navigators also have different roles they can play. Some navigators focus on buffing damage output, some focus on providing shields, and others can provide debuffs. Since these navigators are real party members now, they have their own weapons. These weapons can increase many things, like how much they buff the team and other things, but these weapons can be real game changers. The Navigator Puppet is a shield navigator who really benefits from her weapon. This weapon is so good that it completely changes how she functions, so it matters how you build your navigators. These navigators can also use Revelation and Arcana cards to gain extra abilities and extra stats. But you may wonder, why would I even focus on the stats of my navigator if they won't ever attack? Well, in Persona 5X, navigators share 25% of all of their stats with their teammates. So if you build a puppet with lots of defense for a Yusuke team, Yusuke and the rest of your team is given 25% of Puppet's defense and 25% of the rest of her stats. So giving navigators useful stats will give huge buffs to everyone. Furthermore, some of the navigator's skills scale depending on their stats. For Wynn's skill 3, the amount of damage she buffs scales depending on how much speed she has. So giving Wynn some cards with speed stat on it will increase her damage buff output, and it will benefit the rest of your team. But if you miss the automatic moves that navigators used to do, don't worry. Navigators are given moves that they will automatically use regardless of their preparation time. I don't necessarily know how it works, but if you fulfill a certain requirement, these navigators will automatically do this skill. For example, Okyan can inflict a random elemental ailment to some enemy, Wind can decrease the defense of all enemies, and Puppet can automatically apply a shield to a teammate who is low on health if her awareness is high enough. So P5X turns these navigators into real party members and gives them qualities of every other character, which means you can also build these navigators to benefit their moves and the performance of your team. This entire rework is so good that I would love to see it in a future Persona game, like Persona 6. I think it really brings a bigger light to these underappreciated navigators. Protagonist nerfs. In most Persona games, the protagonist is usually very powerful, almost too powerful. They always have access to the best skills, multiple personas whose weaknesses can easily be patched, and sometimes max HP and max SP. This problem is most obvious in Persona 5 Royal, where Joker can easily get max HP and max SP while having broken skills like Myriad Truths, Hasso Tobai, and Neo Cadenza. Joker is so broken that most fights in P5R are just Joker featuring the Phantom Thieves. You can literally beat the entire game with only Joker very easily. Party members become basically useless because Joker can do anything and everything you could ever need anyone to do. He can DPS, debuff, buff, and heal. Even in Persona 3 Reload, Makoto Yuki has access to great personas and broken Theurgy moves, like Armageddon and Scarlet Havoc. These protags can become literal gods and no enemies can defeat them, so the devs at Perfect World Games needed to find a solution to this problem. If they kept Wonder as a broken godlike being, the entire game wouldn't work. Why would people build their healers, debuffers, and DPSs if Wonder could do it all? No one would pull for characters, no one would build their characters, the entire game would be ruined. But if they over-nerfed him, then he would constantly be dead weight on any team. So they nerfed him, first by only allowing him to use 3 personas during any fight. This means that the player really needs to think about which personas they bring to a fight. Then, they mostly nerfed his ability to do mega damage. So, the player actually needs to build a team comp to do good damage instead of constantly relying on Wonder. Wonder can still do a decent amount of damage by knocking down enemies, but now the protagonist isn't going to be instantly nuking everyone. But they actually gave Wonder a useful DPS option. Yoshitsune. If you build Team Comp to fully support Wonder, you fully build your Yoshitsune, and you use a good weapon with Wonder, Yoshitsune can do a lot of damage, almost 80k with his Hasso Tobai, so it's still technically possible to do good damage with Wonder, but he can do this in a way that doesn't make every other DPS useless. To be honest, going out of your way to DPS with Wonder would be way harder than just using a DPS character. But if Wonder really can't do damage, and he can only use 3 personas, what can he do? Well, Wonder still has the versatilities of other protagonists. Wonder is also giving amazing support personas, like King Frost, who gives 1200 shield and defense buffs to the entire team, Dionysus, who greatly increases the entire team's crit rate with Revolution, side DPS options that can do decent damage and knock down enemies, and he is the only character who has Mudo and Hama skills. Alice has her iconic move, Die For Me, which has a decent chance to kill non-boss characters if they are below 50% of their health. Wonder is also given a skill tree type system. To upgrade the skill tree, you need to use a currency that you can only gain from fusing personas. You can upgrade things like his total HP, his total attack, and even other things like healing effect and crit rate. There's also the Flash of Inspiration that can be used to upgrade special areas of Wonder's skill tree. You can earn these through certain battle challenges and mementos. So Wonder can do a variety of things without feeling like an almighty being who cannot be touched. I think it's very impressive how Perfect World Games was able to almost perfectly handle this situation. Battle changes. The combat in Persona 5X is still your lovable Persona 5 combat system, but with some twists. The shields from Persona 5 Strikers were brought into this combat system. They work very similar to how they did in Persona 5 Strikers. These shields are applied to some enemies, and they require you to strike their weakness or a physical crit to break these shields. Enemies can have a variety of numbers of shields throughout the game, 1, 2, or 3 shields. Once these shields are broken, you can knock down the enemy and go for a baton pass or an all-out attack. This rework definitely adds some difficulty to this game, which Persona desperately needs. It also gives many fights variety. Baton Pass rework. Baton Pass is one of the more popular innovations from Persona 5, and it's here to stay in P5X, but with a few tweaks. If you gain a 1 more, you are still able to baton pass to your teammate or attack again with the character you're using. But instead of having access to your entire move pool, you're only able to use a generic magic skill. So if I'm using Minami and I baton pass to Joker, Joker will just use a generic curse skill instead of using his spread moves. If this sounds like a nerf towards baton pass, it's because it sort of is. But this rework has some benefits to it. Baton Pass is infamous in Persona 5 and Persona 3 Reload because it makes the game very easy. It allows your team to just snowball in every fight, but this nerf makes Baton Pass less OP, while still leaving it as a useful tool. So I think this is an actually positive change. Plus, DPS characters can use these Baton Pass moves to do massive damage. Highlight. Throughout the years, the Persona games have had a variety of special moves in them. Some examples would be the Showtimes in P5R and the Theurgy spells in Persona 3 Reload, but there's a pretty big problem with them in my opinion. The Showtime attacks in P5R have cool animations, but they really aren't that strong. At most, they can do a bit of damage. In Persona 3 Reload, it's a completely different story. The Theurgy attacks almost take all difficulty out of these games, especially Makoto's Theurgies. These attacks can do massive damage for little to no price at all, especially the physical Theurgy attacks, like Junpei, Aigis, Shinjiro, and Makoto's Scarlet Havoc. If you go into a boss with everyone's Theurgy charged, it's just a slaughter, no enemy can survive it. So Perfect World Games tried to add a special attack that wouldn't be too overpowered, but good enough so it's not useless. This is where they created the Highlight move. Every character has a unique highlight move. These moves can do a variety of things. They can do lots of damage, they can buff the entire team, they can heal or revive, and most of them even come with extra little bonus effects. These highlights are charged during the fight, similar to a Theurgy. Once it's fully charged, you can unleash a highlight move of your choice. You can choose any party member's highlight, even if it's not their turn at the moment. Once a highlight is finished, you can immediately start charging your next one. Using a highlight also does not cost an action, so it allows for a lot of versatility. But these characters who have used the highlight have to act 4 more times before they can use another highlight. This is an important feature because it helps tone down the spam of a character's highlights. These highlights also have pretty cool animations like Showtimes. Let's show off Yusuke's highlight here. Yusuke deals damage with his defense stat, so he does 178.1% ice damage with his defense stat to all foes, and it increases his chance to counterattack by 33%. If you pair this with his skill 3 that makes all enemies target him, and gives him a 56% chance to activate a counterattack, Yusuke basically has a 100% chance to counterattack if he uses his highlight. This highlight is an amazing example. It's very useful, but it's not so broken that it takes all of the skill out of the game. Another highlight I want to mention is Chord's highlight. Chord's highlight gives a damage bonus of 45.5% to all party members. After they act, they recharge 10% of their highlight. It may seem like a pretty bad way to spend your highlight, but it's actually very good. It buffs your entire team by so much, and it lets you easily charge in their highlight. Chord is actually a character whose role is to help spam highlights and help buff these highlights. So this is why her highlight is very good. It helps charge more highlights while her moveset allows her to spam other teammates' highlights. Overall, these brand new highlights have good elements from theurgy spells and showtimes. They are visually appealing and strong, but not strong to the point that they get rid of all the difficulty. An amazing feature to these battles that adds a lot of variety and fun. What do you do in P5X? Now, I've been talking a lot about the changes with the battle system and the changes to the characters in P5X, but you may be wondering, what will I even be doing in this game? So I decided to explain that to you too. Main story. The main story of P5X is just your average Persona 5 story, but with an extra twist. Not really. I think it's quite different. I won't get into the actual story content since it's spoilers, but I will talk about the gameplay. In P5X, you and your team will explore palaces. Only 3 palaces have been released by the time I'm making this video, but I can say with certainty that the plot in P5X is not just a copy and paste from P5R. There may be some slight similarities, but they are very minor. The P5X story was also being written by the same people who wrote P5R's story, so I'm sure it's going to be amazing. But the palace design in P5X is amazing. Palaces in P5X are way bigger compared to the palaces in P5R. I'm pretty sure that the first palace in P5X is bigger than the final P5R palace. There are also many interesting gimmicks and puzzles in each palace, so you'll have a lot to do. These palaces also look very nice in the new art style, especially Palace 2. Some areas in Palace 2 are stunning. These palaces are also filled with amazing treasures. You can get things like gems, materials, and even summons from exploring. There are also many mini-bosses throughout each palace. These mini-bosses can be very hard, or sometimes they might have fun gimmicks. If you defeat them, you will be given a variety of rewards. Overall, Perfect World Games 100% cooked with these new palaces. The gameplay is amazing, and the story is amazing. It's pretty safe to assume that the future palaces will continue this trend of being amazing experiences. Cross Fate. Cross Fate is a special side story within Persona 5X. This story features the original Persona 5 cast. As of right now, only 3 episodes of the story have been released. A story focused on Panther, Skull, Mona, and Joker, a story focused on Fox, and a story focused on Queen. Oracle and Noir have already been announced to be added in P5X in the future, so they will most likely also be getting their episodes. In Cross Fate, the P5X squad explores palaces from Persona 5 with the Phantom Thieves. The player goes through small missions while exploring these palaces, so it's a bit different than the regular palace exploration, since your exploration is a bit linear. You can also get a lot of rewards from completing side missions and opening chests. Some missions will even let you use some of the Phantom Thieves, so it's an amazing way to try out these characters if you don't have them unlocked yet. Cross Fate also unlocks LeBlanc. Wonder can visit LeBlanc whenever he feels like it, and in here he can interact with cognitive versions of the Phantom Thieves. If you decide to spend time in here, you can even get gems. That's all I really want to talk about Cross Fate. I don't want to discuss the story around it because it would spoil it, but I think it's a pretty cool side story. Battles. P5X is a Persona game at the end of the day. So where do you battle? Well, there are many places where battles can take place. I'll get to it right now. Mementos. Mementos returns from Persona 5, but with some tweaks. The floors are huge and filled with rewards. There's also this new currency that you collect mementos. You can insert this currency in ATMs to get rewards and unlock new areas. Since the floors are very big, the amount of floors in each path has been decreased. There's around 3 to 4 floors per path now, which is pretty good considering how big the floors are. But sadly, this means the Reaper is no longer in Mementos. If he was, then he would be chasing you about 99% of the time, since exploring these floors takes a lot of time now. But exploring these paths is very useful. There are tons of chests to find, tons of mini-bosses to fight, and tons of rewards. Some paths even have fun gimmicks. Material grinding. Persona 5X has a brand new stamina system. You get 240 stamina per day, and you can use the stamina on a variety of things. It's possible to spend your stamina on Ascension materials. You can also spend it on Personas, Revelation cards, and weekly boss rematches. It's also possible to get these items that will give you extra stamina. There are espressos that restore 60 stamina, and coffee candies that restore 30 stamina. It's possible to earn these through special events, but there's always just ways to buy them. It's a pretty good idea to stock up on these so you can go on a mass grinding spree, or you can spend them whenever you want to. You can also spend gems to restore stamina, but it's not worth it since those gems can be spent on pulls. But there are 3 materials that I want to specifically point out here because they are important. There's fragrances, ore, and incense. The fragrances can be used to upgrade your character's max level, the ore can be used to upgrade the max level of a character's weapon, and the incense is used to upgrade the character's skills. You will also need individual parts to upgrade these things, so watch out for that too. Sea of Souls. Sea of Souls is a bi-weekly set of Persona battles. There are rounds of battles that you can do that will give you a good amount of rewards, but what's really important are the boss battles. Every 2 weeks, the boss battles are switched out. Each boss has their own weakness and gimmick to it, so it's important to choose your team with this in mind. The goals of these boss battles is to get the most amount of points possible. Once you're finished, your score will be placed on a leaderboard. Depending on how good your score is, you will be given a decent amount of golden coins. These golden coins can be spent on amazing personas like Yoshitsune, King Frost, Bishamonten, and more. If your score is high enough, you may even be promoted to a higher rank. The higher rank you are, the bigger your reward will be, but you may also be demoted if your score is pretty low, which may happen if you decide to skip a certain banner. But at the end of the day, there's no reason not to finish SOS every 2 weeks. No matter what, you'll at least get something. Heart Rail. Heart Rail is a roguelike game mode in Persona 5X. In this game mode, you and your team will explore random floors inside of Mementos. Each floor has a variety of things it can have. There can be a normal shadow, a strong shadow, random events, a free chest, or even a shop. When you defeat a shadow, you are given a chance to select an amulet. An amulet basically acts like a buff to you and your team. There are so many amulets that can do so many things, so it's important to choose some that will actually help you. It's also possible to earn lost items. These can do many things. They are mostly useful, but beware, some may have unwanted side effects, so read carefully. During each Heart Rail run, you can select the path that leads to a certain boss. There are currently 2 different variations of Heart Rail. Each version has some exclusive amulets, lost items, and exclusive bosses. Heart Rail can also give you a lot of very good rewards. You can get gems for collecting new amulets and new lost items. You can also get gems for completing certain side challenges. Heart Rail also offers this free rewards pass. It's loaded with tons of amazing items that you can earn by just playing. This game mode is very fun, and it gives a good amount of rewards. It's one of my favorite things to do in P5X, and it's certainly one of the more creative things that Perfect World Games added to this game. Velvet Trials. Trial battles from Persona 5 Royal return in Persona 5X, but with a few challenges. There are 4 trials in the game. Each trial focuses on a pair of elements. For example, there's a trial where enemies are weak to curse and wind, a trial where enemies are weak to ice and nuke, a trial where enemies are weak to bless and electric, and a trial where enemies are weak to fire and psychokinesis. There's also 25 battles in each trial. By getting a good star rating in these trials, you will get gems. So these trials are an amazing way to grind for gems. But don't think that these trials will be a cakewalk like they were in Persona 5 Royal. Near the end, the bosses get very strong, so watch out. But there's a special 5th trial. This trial is called Artisan's Work, and it's a combination of all of the trials. Every fight has a different weakness. The fights are also very tough, but this trial has the best rewards. It has materials to upgrade Wonder's weapons, materials to upgrade Wonder's signature persona, and materials to upgrade Wonder's power through the skill tree. Guild Battles. Guild Battles are a weekly event in Persona 5X where you fight a super boss. Your goal? Get as many points as possible. These bosses are usually made with a certain unit in mind. For example, the Dominion boss and its minions are all weak to curse, so it heavily favors Joker. There are 3 different guild bosses every week, so at the very least, you'll have at least one unit who you can use to get a high score. To participate in these battles, you need to join a guild. A guild is basically a clan of other players. Your fellow members can even share their units with you. You can just join a random guild that's open, or you can try to find a guild in the Persona 5X community. Maybe try out the P5X global server. But if your guild has very good scores, your guild can place high on the server-wide leaderboards. Every guild competes for these high scores, so it's quite fun to see how far you can go. Guild battles also give 360 gems and a golden arcana card every week, so it's worth it to do them. Guild battles are such a unique experience that were added in this game. It really gives you a sense of community when you're in a guild and participating for a good score, so you and your other members can rank high. It's so much fun. Player level. The player's level will increase from doing battles, grinding for materials, fighting in palaces, finding in mementos, and playing a heart rail will all give you XP. This EXP will level you up. Pretty simple, but every 10 levels, the player ranks up. By ranking up, you will be given access to better personas and better persona fusions, better levels in the material battles that give you more and better materials, and most importantly, it allows you to level up your characters and their weapons more. The player can level up normally until they reach level 80. Once you hit level 80, you will reach these super ego levels. It's basically like a level reset, but not really. You start at level 0 super ego, and every time you level up, you will be given an inspirational light. This can be used to upgrade Wonder's HP, life, attack, and defense through his skill tree menu. Persona Fusions. The fusion system has been reworked in Persona 5X. The way you obtain good personas has also been changed. You can get some personas from character banners, but these personas are pretty useless. You can get really good personas by doing special battles. These battles take stamina. It's also not guaranteed that you'll get these personas during each battle, so it may take a while for you to actually get them. But there is a pity system with these persona battles. Every 8 attempts, you're guaranteed at least one copy of the persona you wanted. Some of these personas are pretty good, like Dionysus, but most of them are just used on fusions. In the Velvet Room, you can fuse different personas. Each persona already has a pre-made recipe, so it's pretty easy to know what you need. Once you get all of these ingredients, you can go ahead and fuse the persona. But be aware, certain personas can only be fused when you reach a certain level. You can also fuse duplicates of these personas. By making dupes, you will be given a coin that can be used for 2 things. Option 1, pass on some skills to another persona. Option 2, upgrade the persona that you made the duplicate for. Option 2 is really the best way to spend these special coins. I'll use Dominion as an example for fusing and upgrading. So I hopped in game to show you this because I think it's a better way to just learn visually how these fusion works. So I'm here with Dominion. If you press this fuse button right here, it'll tell you exactly what you need to fuse the minion. As you can see, I need a Barong coin, 1 Bugs coin, this guy's coin, and an Oberon coin. Once I get all of these coins, I will be able to fuse a Dominion. Since I have already fused the minion, I will be getting this Dominion coin, as you can see right here. You can get these from the Persona battles that I was teaching you about. As you can see here, it costs 50 stamina. And there's a pity system too. Once you get your coin and you want to upgrade your Persona, you need to navigate away from this menu. You'll need to click on the VIP Services menu. I'll click it right now. In this menu, it's going to show you all of the personas that you own. But the one I'm going to focus on is the minion right here. As you can see, the minion is level 80 right now because I have not upgraded the minion once. But if you click on this option right here, it'll bring you to this menu where you can see that you'll upgrade the instinct. This is where you'll select your Dominion mark right here. Once you select this, you'll be able to upgrade their instinct. It's also important to know that you can use these shining treasures to upgrade instincts if you have them available. As you can see, this is used to upgrade rank 7 personas, and only rank 7 personas. So if you don't want to use all of your time to make these Dominion marks, you could just use one of these treasures. You can also use those treasures to upgrade SOS personas. Let me use King Frost as an example. As you can see, King Frost is compatible with the rank 7 shining treasures. So if you want to save on some golden coins, you can definitely use these. You can even use some on Yoshitsune. These instinct upgrades will upgrade what your persona will be able to do. You can check what they'll do right here. As you can see, if I get Instinct 1, the level cap of Dominion increases to 85. And Dominion's passive or trait will be buffed. Each time you upgrade the Instinct, you will get a bigger level cap and more buffs. As you can see, the max level for Dominion is 95. In this menu, you can also level up your personas. As you see, I have Yoshitsune right here, and he's only level 44. In this menu, I can select materials to upgrade my Yoshitsune, which I'll do right now. Now that I've used materials on my Yoshitsune, he has reached his level cap. Now that he is fully leveled up to his level cap, this will give me the option to use more things to upgrade his instinct. I can use this special treasure, or I can buy more Yoshitsune marks, which will cost 400 golden coins each. Social life. P5X is a traditional Persona game, right? So what's the social aspect of the game like? Oh, well, don't worry at all. I'm getting right into that. Daily energy. Every day in Persona 5X, you are given 5 energy. You can have a max of 20 energy at once. Similar to stamina, there are items that will restore your energy. There are energy drinks that will restore 5 energy. So these can be used whenever you like. Sometimes, you may even encounter a special daily activity that costs 3 energy but gives 3 times the rewards. So watch out for them and see if they will be useful to you. But you may be thinking, what can I even use this energy on? Well, get ready to find out. Confidants. Just like every Persona game ever, there are social links in Persona 5X. These social links max out at rank 20, but there's a social link scene every 2 levels, so it's pretty much just a regular social link, but longer. You can also buy gifts at store to boost your confidence levels. These gifts are so worth it, especially when you're in the higher ranks of a social link. By leveling up these social links, you will be rewarded with gems, materials, and special rewards. These special rewards can be very good or okay sometimes. Here are some examples. Tomoko Noge. She is able to increase the amount of social stats you get from working at part-time jobs. She can also unlock new jobs that pay better than other jobs. Yumi Shina. By leveling up this Predator social link, you will be given a special recipe to craft a drink that will restore 3 points of energy. This is really useful because they are just slightly worse versions of the premium energy drinks. Merope. By leveling up Merope, you will be given access to exclusive Persona fusions, the best one being Koryu. Miyu Sahara. By leveling up Miyu, gifts that you give to confidants will now give extra affection points than normal. Romancing also returns in P5X. By romancing a female character, you will be given exclusive rewards. These rewards are pretty minor, but still pretty cool. So if you're a big fan of a certain female character, be sure to romance her. These unique rewards are so cool. Keep in mind that you can only romance female characters, so I'm very sorry to all the Kano fans out there, but you can't romance the silly cowboy guy. Social stats. The iconic social stats also return in Persona 5X, but this time, instead of maxing out at rank 5, they max out at rank 20, so they have a lot of grinding to do. But lucky for you, the P5X devs decided to add a social stats tracker. This works very similar to the Persona 5 Royal mod. It just tells you how far you are from leveling up. Honestly, one of the more overlooked additions to this game, but one of the most useful ones. These social stats can be used to level up social links and buy exclusive gifts for social links in some shops. You will also level up these stats by just doing random daily activities. Sometimes you can go to the jazz bar to get 10 of some random stats. Or you can go to the movies and get 10 of some random stats, and more. Part-time jobs. In P5X, part-time jobs return, but this time they are actually worth your time. I don't know about you guys, but in P5R and P3R, I never took any part-time jobs. That's one of the reasons I missed out on the Sun Social Link during my first Persona 5 Royal run. These jobs never gave me any cash compared to Mementos and Tartarus, plus they take up a valuable time slot. In P5X, you can no longer get cash from Mementos and Shadow Battles. This makes jobs the only way you can get cash, but if cash wasn't useful, then it still wouldn't be worth it. But this cash can be spent on presents to boost your social links by a lot, so this makes cash a very useful resource. Part-time jobs also give you some social stats. Overall, part-time jobs are actually useful now. These jobs also give a lot of character to this game too. There are many adorable interactions during these jobs. Plus, you can even meet some social links while you work. While you work at the beef bowl place or the pharmacy, you may run into Tomoko. Or, if you work at Toraiken, you may run into Kano. Even if these interactions are quite small, it really makes the characters seem more alive, and it makes you realize how these characters are living their own lives, just like Wonder. Fun things to do. P5X also has a lot of just random fun things to do. You can join the music team and unlock a music minigame that's really similar to P5 dancing. You can also join the soccer team and unlock a soccer minigame. By playing both of these minigames, you will be given points and a rank. You will also be given access to shops for each minigame. The higher your rank is, the more rewards you can buy with your points. So it's pretty useful to play these minigames. They are also just pretty fun. The fishing minigame from P5R also returns to P5X, along with the baseball minigame. Tycoon from Persona 5 Royal has also been announced with multiplayer. Wonder's house also has lots of fun things to do in there. Wonder has access to a garden. You can buy flower seeds and vegetable seeds and grow them here. You can use the flowers to craft special gifts for your confidants. By leveling up Yui's confidants, the things that you plant there will not only grow faster, but you will also get other benefits. You can use these vegetables for cooking. In Wonder's Kitchen, you are given the option to cook food dishes. These dishes can heal your team's HP and give stat buffs. These items are sometimes used for specific strategies, so they aren't completely useless. You can get more recipes from Kano and Yaoling. How do I play P5X? There are 3 ways to play P5X right now: CN, TW, and KR. Each version has their pros and their cons. CN. This is the Chinese server of Persona 5X. It's quite difficult to get into since you need a Chinese ID. It's also pretty hard to buy things in CN. I think you need to use Alipay. For the week that I played CN, before I switched to KR, I couldn't figure out how to do it, but CN also has the luxury of being the test server. CN gets updates a week before KR and TW. The auto translator mod also works on CN, but you'll need to download a fix for the CN translator because a while ago, the CN translator broke, but the members of the P5X worldwide Discord server were able to fix it. TW. TW is the Taiwan server of Persona 5X. It's pretty easy to get into. You only need to create an account with a Google email. As mentioned before, TW gets updates a week after CN. This is a double-edged sword because you need to wait a week after CN gets an update to get that update. But this means you'll also get a week's notice of the new content and stuff that's being added in an update. So you can decide whether or not you're going to skip a certain unit a week in advance. It's also sort of easy to pay for things in TW. You just need to create a My Card account to use foreign payments. But there's one issue. A while ago, the TW version of the auto translator mod stopped working. This issue hasn't been fixed yet, and honestly might never be fixed. As of now, TW does not have translator support. KR. KR is the South Korean server for P5X. It's very similar to TW. It gets updates a week after CN and will easily let you use foreign payments. But in KR, it is way easier to use a foreign card. When buying something, you just need to select the payment collection option and the other option. Then you can just put your credit card info in and buy things, but it may be reported as fraud, so make sure to check with your bank. KR also has translator mod support. This is the version that I would recommend everyone who wants to start playing P5X right now. It's very easy to get into, it's very easy to spend money in, and the translator works. But there will also be future versions of this game. As I'm making this video, it was announced that P5X will be shown off at Tokyo Games Fest. The Japanese version of this game was confirmed to be shown off here. It's also important to note that the devs have stated that JP and Global will be released at the same time. So if JP is already being shown, it may mean Global isn't far. Auto translator mod? Yeah, I forgot to go more in depth about this. Some members of the P5X community were able to develop an auto translator mod for Persona 5X. Once this mod is installed, it will translate the text, Chinese or Korean, to English, or any language you want it to translate to. It's honestly really well made. To download it, you will need to join the P5X worldwide Discord server. Don't worry, you won't download anything sketchy. The mod may sometimes cause Windows to falsely flag it as malware, but it's not. I promise it's not. While I'm here, I might as well talk about the P5X global server. This is honestly one of the best places to be if you want to be a part of the P5X community. As mentioned before, it's the place where you can download the translator mod, but there's so much more here. There's build guides that will help you build units. There's guides to help you set up the game and translators. It can also honestly just be a good place to get news for P5X. And it's honestly a really great place to just chat with other P5X fans or Persona fans in general. It's honestly such a cool place, and I really recommend checking it out, even if you're only going to play global. If you're playing global, then this place can be an amazing place to gain knowledge about the game before it comes out. You'll be ahead of the pack, so consider joining the server. It's a really great place to be. Is P5X pay to win? This is one of the more important things to talk about, so I'll talk about it. I'll be blunt, if you spend your life savings on this game, of course you're gonna progress really well. That's just how every mobile game is. But to say this makes P5X a soulish cash grab is just plain wrong. It's a cash grab with soul. Nah, just kidding, but I honestly believe P5X is way more free-to-play friendly than other gachas out there. The P5X devs are so generous about how you earn currency in this game. It's also very simple to level up and progress. They also love giving out free rewards to the mail system or daily login things. Hell, I even remember when KR first came out, I woke up one morning and in the mail the dev sent out a premium multi-summon. The rewards always won't be that nice, but they are still nice in general. But if you like this game enough to support it financially, there are some good things to buy. There's a battle pass that comes out every month that costs around 10 USD, and it gives a good amount of materials and even coins to buy 5-star weapons. It's pretty worth it if you care about those things. There's also a monthly pass, 100 gems, and a coffee candy every day for 30 days. It costs around 5 USD, but if you're a mega spender, there are also lots of ways to just buy hundreds of poles. It will cost a lot though, but if you play this game for free and save smartly, you should be able to get most of the things you want. Unless you want A6, R6 for every premium banner. I rarely spend money on this game, but I'm still able to progress really well. The only things I buy are usually the occasional pack of summons and the battle pass every month. Closing thoughts. That's all I really wanted to talk about P5X. I know it was a lot, but I hope you learned something new about this game with this video. As I said in the beginning, I was someone who was once blindly hating this game, but I gave it a chance and was genuinely surprised. I really wanted to make this video because I know that the Tokyo Games Fest coverage is gonna cause a lot of people to just blindly hate this game like I used to, but I genuinely just ask one thing of you. Just try the game out when you get the chance to. It's free to try out, and if you like it enough, consider supporting it. I am a Persona fan who genuinely believes in this project. It has so much quality, so much effort, so much love, and I can tell that the devs at Perfect World Games genuinely care about this project, and they care about the people who play it. So I ask once more, please just give this game a chance. I promise you won't regret it. But don't play Genshin Impact because that game is ass. Okay, bye!
Open adventure, ready to relish every day.